Okay, here we go. Mono printing with jelly plates and everything else I could find. Clear acetate. And after asking my husband if he liked my kitty cat monoprint, he just declared Teapot. So I thought, okay, Teapot it is. Juicy. Okay, so if I'm gonna make a teapot, it's gonna have a spout, boop doop, handle, boop doop, and a little bottom, and a little top too. Okay. We're making a stencil. It's all about the silhouette. Like a teapot. I'm gonna be cutting this guy out. Now I'm gonna have to leave a little hole right there for it to stay attached. A little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle, here's my spout. Okay, now I gotta cut it out. So now with my stencil, I have two stencils. But this side, which I can use to block off an area, and I have this one so I can fill in, all right? But this is going to be a very delicate area, so I'm going to have to be careful about this little sticky uppy bit. All right, I have done a fair amount of monoprints in my time. So monoprinting is from mono, one, printing. Has a long history, I'm not going to get into. I'm mostly just going to show you guys some techniques so you don't get stressed out today. So knowing what you have control over. You have control over your ink and kind of like what you block off, okay? So get some paper. We have block printing ink, we have Aqua inks, and we have acrylic. So I tend to actually, strangely enough, just use acrylic for everything. And I just add a little water to it to keep it a little bit less tacky, a little more wet. Okay, so I could take. I also like making gradients. It's one of the few things I really like about using these roller things called brayers. Right, so let's say I get some acrylic in here, and I get some acrylic on the other side. These are all left over from mode. If you guys are like, hey, where'd you get those little tiny saucer cups of paint? Well, we made them for you guys last year. The area was really nice and clean earlier, but not right now. Okay, so see these? Okay, if you have too much ink, it kind of sticks like that. So you don't want to have too much ink. You want to have a nice, even, kind of like... Still too much ink. Okay, so I've rolled this out of my brayer. I've got sort of like a red to a black gradient, and I'm going to roll it on and make an even coat. With mono printing, you're not going to have control of a lot of stuff, but what you do have control over is like what color ink you have and how much ink you put down. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see, put down a nice even coat. First one I'm gonna show you what happens when I use the cutout. Okay, I'm putting my teapot down, blocking this area, exposing only the middle. I'm gonna take my paper. What paper you use is gonna make a huge difference. If you're using really watery ink and a really soft thin paper, it's gonna bleed everywhere. Printmaking paper tends to be pretty thick. This is just some sketch paper. Okay. If it was really wet, if I had watered my watercolor down too much, you would see it come through. Okay. A lot of times you can tell things are print made because you'll see like an indent. All right, and it should make like a noise. Oh, it's making the noise. It's making the noise. And, oh, there's my teapot. So my teapot came out okay. Now I'm going to show you what's called a ghost. Okay, I'm going to peel this up. And what's left right now on the printing plate, I have pretty much no ink here and ink all over here, right? So I can do another one, what is called a ghost. Ghosting in printmaking means picking up the remainder ink. So I'm going to get a nice negative of my last image. This is one of the few things I really like about printmaking. I work with silhouette a lot in printmaking because that allows me to add stuff in later on. And here's my teapot. See, there's my cute little teapot, and I got a cool gradient going on. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys just this guy and kind of the reversey of what we just did. Okay. My gradient of paint coming down, nice even sheen, not so thick that it's gonna make a huge mess. See, I don't want to see those streaky lines, but I also don't want it so watery that it's gonna go all over the place. I'm gonna lay down my teapot. I'm gonna put it in this corner right here. Now, because I'm gonna kind of show you guys some reduction. Reduction means I pull ink off of the printing plate. So maybe my little teapot is doing a little whistly thing. So I'm gonna take and remove a bunch of ink. And you can kind of see the printing plate has come back. All right, be a little bit more aggressive so I definitely know you'll see something. The problem is you never know if it's going to look good or not. Because I'm doing reduction stuff, I'm also going to pull out kind of a line right here. I don't know if you can kind of see it. I kind of made like a line. I'm going to be even more aggressive. I'm going to take this little guy and pull that ink off. Do I have any idea if this is going to look good? No, none whatsoever. That's the joy of printmaking. You gotta get a feeling for it after a little bit, but not really. Okay. Now, I need to put some pressure on this. I take a stamp and I just go chugga, chugga, chugga. If I have paint on my ink, bleh, if I paint on my fingers, it's gonna come up. Okay. Pray to the gods of printmaking. Start hearing that noise. The acrylic does dry pretty quickly though. And let's see how all right, see that? So that's a good start. All right, in no way is this done. In no way am I gonna be like, I'm done, Ms. McGuire. I'm gonna be like, okay, now you get to do more things with it. All right, so I'm now gonna do a ghost with just what's left here, which is right here. And I might play around a little bit with the watercolor markers. All right, and that one just kind of gives you a stamp right here. But if any of you guys were like, can't you just like stamp down usually like and just use this like a normal stamp? Yes, you can, okay? I do want you guys to play with the jelly plates though. A lot of cleaning up in printmaking. So when I was doing this in college, we had oil-based paints and they got everywhere and they were such a pain to clean. So I'm really happy that I can kind of control what products you're using so we don't have all this oil painting mess everywhere. But there is going to be a lot of cleaning up, okay, guys? A lot of cleaning up. Okay. So just to compare, here's a ghost with a jelly plate. Now, if you're like, well, can't you just do this on like a regular plate and stick it down? Yes, but the jelly plate kind of allows it to have this texture of being just wet enough to get almost like this weird stuff coming through. You're kind of embracing that. So let me show you what happens if you just take a brush. Okay, you ready for it? So I'm just taking acrylic on a brush and I'm just stenciling in my teapot. Okay. Thicker. All right, just to kind of show you. When you put down like just a layer of acrylic just as is, right? You gotta have this thickness, okay? Took a piece of plastic. I made myself my own little stencil. All right, something kind of fun. I have two, because of the way I cut it, I was able to get two out of it, my teapot and my teapot outside bit. that allows me to get different kinds of stencils. This was using the inside of the teapot. This one was using the outside of the teapot. We used acrylic with a little bit of water in it. I showed you what would happen if you use the jelly plate versus the stencil on its own. I did a reduction where I covered an area and then pulled paint off of the gel. All right, now I'm going to look at these and actually try to do something with them, because this is not a finished piece of artwork by any means. Things that I could do, a little bit of shadows here and here, make it a little, add in a little this. I'm just going to write teapot. Okay. Change into that one. Okay. Yeah, the colors work really bad. Much better there. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. You line up kind of where you want it to go, and you make little dots. What is that? About ½ inch up from where all the corners are, right? And that's gonna show you some little places that you're gonna slice. All right, like connect up the dots with the cutting tool. Okay, and now you have these like little pockets, right? And you're just gonna like sneak it in there. So one of the things that's kind of nice about this is you can cut out the areas that don't work out, because with monoprints, it's just not, don't be surprised if it's not perfect the first time. There we go, look at that. I made a little card. So here's my stamp, and if some of you guys are just like, Ms. McGuire, monoprints mean you like print it once. Can I just like do stamping? Yeah, okay. And why you play with jelly plates though? Okay, watch this. Little teapot. What would it look like if I was doing total stamping over here? Maybe with the opposite. Okay, so there's a yellow teapot, and then let's say I'm gonna do yeah, there we go. That one came out good. Okay, tonal stamping.